Hello and welcome to my 6.4. Our scenario is basically this, where we are testing and delayed collection of your basketball player. It's fine and complete, and we're giving feedback to them basically. And we have done this through notation analysis, technical model, and numerical model. There are three main ways which we've analysed this, which I've said. We first review the performance, set the targets, and then the targets and goals based on the review, and then create fit programs to improve their performance. There are considerations when giving feedback, however. There are various ways in which factors should be considered when giving feedback to the participant about their performance. I shall be talking about three as there are many to talk about. One of these includes the body language of the researcher. If the researcher has their head down, arms crossed, they may come across as very quiet defences of themselves, meaning they're not showing confidence within themselves, or maybe even the athlete, as it comes across they are not bothered about the individual's results or their performance. Therefore, when giving feedback, this should be considered and looked upon. The researcher should stand straight and look at the athlete and welcoming arms. Arms should be used to explain info instead of being crossed. This will convey a positive attitude for the athlete to look upon. Another factor which should be considered is being discreet and respectful and allowing confidentiality. This should always be a given for any type of information. If the athlete does not want their data to be provided to other people, then the research should be respectful about this and respectful towards the athlete being polite about the research. They shouldn't be being rude or saying it loudly. The confidentiality is an important factor. If someone else was asked about the information, the researcher should always deny access unless the athlete has given the individual access to view the information. This is various reasons revolving around the athlete. The researcher, when first giving the feedback, should start with the positives. This provides a confidence boost for the individual, which means they are less likely to doubt the negatives and put themselves down. If it was to start with a negative, this creates a persona of negativeness and they may ignore the rest of the feedback. The position which we have chosen to analyse is a power forward. We're using this. This profile shows what a power forward should be able to complete and what they're built to be like. A skill of their skill set should include sprint ability. The power forward must be able to make quick ground upon a court with sprinting to get into position or score points without being blocked from a defender who is quicker than them. The athlete should also have rebounding, both offense and defensive skill. They should be powerful and tall for this, able to jump high to reach the ball before other players. This is to either score points off a rebound or to get the ball and able to pass back into space where they're able to optimise this space and score. Another key part of this position is the ability to score with their shooting skill. This comes from practice. They must be able to direct the ball to the hoop and their skill allowing them to gain an advantage over the opposition team and getting more points than them. And the last key important skill is the ability to handle the ball. With this comes great dribbling and pressure distribution and the ability to use skills to confuse the opposition. This allows them to gain leads on their opposition by outmaneuvering them and getting around them, meaning they can win. There are various factors which may affect the performance of the athlete. One of these include their ability. This is how good they are at actually playing basketball and the skill set they have acquired. If they have a lower ability than the opposition team or opposition player, then they are more likely to be getting left behind and outskilled because opposition have a higher playing ability. If the ability is higher, they can score more points, outperform others and show they are the better player. This highly affects performance as it affects the score readings such as players beaten, points scored, or rebounds gained. Another factor which also affects the performance is nerves of the player. Each player has an optimum level of nerves and to be playing at their peak. However, because of the Yerkes-Dodson law, if there is too much arousal or too little, this will affect the performance. This is because if there's too much, they are more likely to be uptight and likely to fumble the ball and not feel confident enough to play with their skills. They might stick to the basics and feel if they try something new, they will mess it up. However, if too low, they may not see the game as important and not concentrate, meaning they might miss a player and messes up, concluding in not scoring a basket or so. Another factor which contributes to the performance is the level of coaching which they have received. If the coach is not able to provide a high level of performance for the athlete, then the athlete will be limited in their learning and not be able to continue up and beyond. This means if they have a high level of quality, the coaching, then it is more likely the performance of the athlete will also improve. Therefore, this factor is important to consider, as without professional training, the athlete cannot continue at into a professional category. We can then move on to the notational analysis review. As we've already evaluated what the graphs show, we can quickly skim over the strengths and positives of Jack's performance, and then do the same for the technical model and numerical model. So for graph one, the strengths of this include Jack wanting to nearly getting above the group mean, as at the moment he is currently below. A weakness of his graphic shows that Jack is below the mean. He has missed all his shots taken for 2 points, and this must be improved on, as his success rate is 0%. We should try and aim for at least 50%. Graph 2 is similar to graph 1, it has not many positives. He has a score of success of 0% for 3 points, and this should be improved on through better coordination training and practice of shooting. Graph 3 show that Jack could improve his defensive rebound through plyometric and strength training. There are weaknesses, however, as he has zero successful training defense rebounds, which might be he isn't near or powerful enough. Graph 4 shows that Jack has the confidence to try and complete a layup. However, weakness of this is he hasn't scored a, meaning he might not be able to jump high enough. Graph 5 is a larger positive than the rest. It shows that Jack has been able to complete 4 passes, showing a large positive and being able to create new plays. However, he could improve this through distributing the ball into better positions. As we move on to the technical model, we've recapped the graphs briefly and looked at the photos. It shows that preparation phase has some positive, such as Jack has kept his arms back in tracking the player, stopping them from manoeuvring him easily. However, Jack has a weakness here, as he hasn't shown a strong power base, meaning he can be outpowered if he hasn't got his eyes tracking the ball or the player, which means the player can step back and sidestep Jack, as he won't know where they are. As we move into the execution phase, Jack is in a strong power base with his arms spread, meaning he can jump up high. Meaning he shows he's in a strong power base and his arms spread, meaning he can jump up high and powerfully and stop the player from getting past him without forcing him over again and getting a foul. Yes, in the execution phase, Jack still has no eyes on the player and the ball. He only has them on the ball. Throughout the recovery stage, he has kept his back facing the opposition, stopping them from snatching it and out of his hands easily. Yet he hasn't rotated that much within the air, meaning he has his back to his own team as well. Linked with this, is that he hasn't looked for any other players, stopping a quick passage of play. He's also not chinned the ball, which leads him to being able to get the ball smacked out of his hands. The numerical model shows the forces generated and power generated from data collection we collect from scientific jump pads. The strength of Jack is that he is near the mean velocity in the group, and is only just slightly below it, meaning that he can be improved quickly and efficiently to be able to be above the group average. Jack's also nearly above the group average for the duration of the phase. He has only taken slightly longer to complete this jump. There are more improvements needed here, though. Jack doesn't achieve a high jump, it only being 20 centimeters compared to the group average of 32 centimeters, and compared to the best athlete of 47 centimeters. This affects the time within the air, as it's not very long, only being 0.4 seconds compared to 0.6 for the other jumper we have compared Jack to. With the rest of the graphs, we can see that Jack is below the average for mostly all of them compared to the other athletes. There are many improvements here needed. This shows just the strengths and weaknesses of the player. And then the main prioritized SMART targets which we have set to improve are defensive rebounds, recovery phase, and jump height. So now we have reviewed the data, and we can plan and create fit programs for specific parts. One of these is from each model. We start with a notation analysis review. With this, we will be improving on defensive rebound. We are focusing on this as it means Jack will be able to reduce the amount of points opposition are scoring by jumping higher and stopping the ball from going to opposition player. It also means more points will be able to score, as after Jack's team may have missed a shot, Jack will have a larger jump, meaning he can jump higher and secure the ball and score for themselves. We will do this by focusing on increasing the power produced by the athlete through plyometric training. This will be complete 3 times a week for an hour each session, and should be completed at moderate intensity, and should be an interval type of exercise resting between sets. This should also be accompanied by weight training and resistance training, at least 30 minutes between each session, maybe like every other day. This will promote the growth of fast twitch fibers, meaning more of these will be available, meaning he can jump larger and more powerfully. The second improvement from the technical model we'll focus on is the recovery phase. This is because it should be improved on as it stops the opposition from removing and striking the ball out of Jack's hands, which means that they will score and Jack will lose possession. This is also because Jack doesn't rotate in mid-air, and there's low coordination, meaning he isn't looking for other players to pass to. This can be improved by several practice runs. They can complete 10 practice runs and then watch all of them, seeing if it's a repetitive problem or just a lack of practice which is needed. This allows them to see them where they are going wrong. Coordination can be improved through several exercises. One of these includes twist jumps, which are relevant to this part of the box out. As he's jumping up and landing, he needs to rotate. This is where the individual starts from a standing position. They jump in place and turn 90 degrees to land neatly without losing their balance. This can be improved in difficulty, by increasing the degree of turning, so to 180 or 360 without losing balance or landing. This should be a light intensity skill which needs to be conditioned, and it can also be created harder by having a ball and passing it each jump quickly and efficiently. It should only be complete 20 minutes with other coordination exercises with it. Plyometric training will also increase the sense of whereabouts will improve the balance when landing from rotating. The last improvement which is needed for Jack's performance is the jump height within the numerical model which we have analysed. This will improve the time in air and power generated also at the same time. This will be improved on with their jumping ability, meaning they will find it easier in box outs with retrieving the ball. It will also improve their power and time in air due to the exercises needed to improve. These exercises will help these, basically. This is because this will focus on power generated, which means they will be able to jump higher, and the higher they jump, the more time they spend within the air. This can be improved on by weight training. The more weight they can lift, and the more power they can generate. This should be a mix of heavy weights and light weights for about 45 minutes at high intensity. With the weights being heavy, they should have 4 sets of 8, and with light weights, this should be 6 sets of 12. This should be squats or deadlifts to focus the power in the legs. The heavier will generate the bulk of the power, but lighter will define, with this more strength training being applied here. This can also be accompanied with resistance training and bands whilst doing the weights, such as putting the resistant bands over the weights and their feet. And this can also be increased through different resistance of the bands, so more resistance will mean that it's hard for them to lift up the weight. An alternative to this is plyometrics, with a similar fit program to the defensive rebound. With this, it will increase the power generated, meaning a larger powerful jump will result in a higher jump as well. Overall, these improvements should increase in Jack's performance. Thank you, and that's the end of my 6.4.